It was a quiet night on Earth. Satellites moved slowly above the planet. People slept in their homes. Everything seemed normal, but then something changed. Without warning, every screen in the world TVs, phones, computers, and even smartwatches turned. Black, static noise buzzed for a few seconds. People stared in confusion. Then, a strange voice began to speak. It was deep, cold, and not human. "People of Earth," the voice said. "We are the Zelari. You have been watched. You have been measured, and you have been found. ... Weak." People everywhere stopped what they were doing. Some were scared. Others thought it was a joke, but it was not a joke. "You have 7 days to surrender, or your world will burn." And just like that, the message ended. News spread quickly. On every channel, experts and leaders tried to explain what had just happened. Scientists confirmed the signal came from deep space. It had entered the solar system only hours ago. Something was coming. It was coming fast. United Nations Emergency Meeting, Geneva, Switzerland. World leaders sat in silence. The room was dark, heavy with fear. No one knew what to say. Then one man stood up. He was tall, with gray eyes and short black hair. His name was Commander Rayon. He had led Earth's most dangerous missions in space. People said he was more machine than man, but today he was angry and alive. "They didn't come for peace," he said. "They didn't come to talk. They came to kill, and we won't let them." "Ah!" Some leaders nodded. Others looked afraid. Commander Rayan, the UN general, asked, "What do you suggest?" Rayan walked to the center of the room. "We prepare for war," he said. "And when they bring their fire, we give them ours, across their worlds." Mars research base 22 hours earlier, before the Earth message. Something had already happened on Mars. The human colony on Mars, a research base of 32. People had gone silent. No one on Earth had noticed it until now. Military scanned the last transmission from the Mars base. It was short. The screen showed a young soldier, bloody and coughing. Behind him, there was fire. "They came from the sky," he whispered. "Not ships, ... monsters. They destroyed everything." "Commander Rayon, they're afraid." "Afraid of him." Then the screen went black. Everyone in the room turned to Rayon. He said nothing, but his fists were tight. Commander Rayon's hidden paste returned to his private quarters. There, he opened a locked steel case. Inside it was a file, old, burnt on the edges. It was marked, classified. Project Fireborn. Rayon sat down and read the first page. It was a report from 20 years ago. It spoke of an alien species captured secretly by Earth's military. The Zelari, there were only 2 survivors. They were kept hidden for years. Scientists tried to understand them, to learn their weaknesses. Only one human ever made contact without being harmed or Ray. He remembered the eyes of the alien, cold, full of hate. But when Rayan came close, the alien had stepped back. It had whispered, "You are fire." Fire begins back in the meeting room. Military leaders were now making plans. Satellites tracked movement in space. A large object was entering the solar system. The object was bigger than any ship humans had ever seen. Floating city of war. The Zelari mothership. People around the world started to panic. Some prayed. Some packed bags to escape cities. But there was nowhere to run. Rayon stood before the cameras. He spoke to the world. "This is not the end. This is the test. We will not kneel. We will not break. And we will not forget Mars." He raised his hand. The screen behind him showed the enemy ship. "They want war. I'll show them fire." The alien ship now floated above Earth. Cities looked to the sky and saw only darkness. Every day, same voice echoed, "Surrender or burn." But Earth did not surrender. Instead, they looked to Commander Rayan, the man who had promised fire. A message from the dead deep in a military control center. Rayan and his team reviewed the Mars recordings again. Most were too damaged. But one short clip was recovered. It showed a soldier hiding under a broken wall. His face was bloody, his breathing slow. He whispered into the camera, "They're not just soldiers, they're hunters. The soldier looked up. The soldier looked up. His eyes were full of fear. But there's something strange. One of them, he was scared. Not of our weapons, not of our ships. He was afraid. Of the human. He was afraid of Rayan. The screen turned black. Everyone in the room turned toward Rayan. Silent. He didn't speak. He just stared at the screen. Rayan's secret later. In a quiet underground lab, Rayhan met with an old man, Dr. Kadim. The last living scientist from Project Faber. Dr. Kadim looked tired. His hands shook. It's happening again, isn't it? He said. Rayan nodded. The doctor unlocked a metal drawer and gave Rayan an old file. They feared you once, and they still do. You must remember why. Rayan opened the file. Inside were photos, sketches, and audio logs. He remembered this place. He remembered the prison cell where the aliens were held. One memory stood out clearly. The first encounter IT was 20 years ago. Rayan had just become a military officer. Young, brave, and full of questions. He was taken to a dark room below the Earth's surface. Inside were two aliens chained but alive. They were tall, with silver armor skin and glowing eyes. The guards warned Rayan not to get close, but he walked straight to the glass. One of the aliens moved forward, slowly like a predator. Then it stopped. It looked straight at Rayan and said something in its own language. No else understood. But Rayan, somehow. Did he remember the words even now? You carry the ancient fire. You are what destroyed us before. You are the human storm. Fear has a memory back in the present. Dr. Kadim explained the truth. The Zalari had fought humans long ago, before Earth even had cities. They don't just fear our weapons, the doctor said. They fear something inside us. Something we've forgotten, but they remember. They call it the fire mind. It's our rage, our will, our refusal to die. Rayan closed the file. Then it's time they remember it again. Meanwhile, on the alien ship, on board the massive Zalari warship, their leader, High Warlord Threxus, watched Earth through glowing screens. He spoke to his generals. We knew the fire would rise again. It lives in the one called Rayan. Before we burn their cities, we must destroy him. The aliens began creating a special weapon, not to attack Earth, but to hunt Rayan. The fire awakens. Rayan walked through the military hangar, where Earth's ships were being prepared. Soldiers saluted him, but Rayan didn't smile. His mind was focused. He stopped at a large black spacecraft. This was his personal ship, Vulcan 7. Fast, silent, deadly. A young soldier walked up nervously. Sir, why did they fear you? You're just a man. Rayan looked up at the stars. I'm not their fear, he said. I'm their memory. Countdown begins. Back in the war room. The Earth defense system was activated. Satellites formed a shield in orbit. Fighters stood ready. Rayan made a plan to strike the alien ship before they strike Earth. But just then, a siren rang. An alien pod had landed in Alaska. People in nearby towns were missing. No signs of survivors. Rayan looked at the screen. His eyes narrowed. They're not waiting. They're already here. He picked up his gear, prepped the Vulcan. We move now. The night sky over Alaska was quiet, but deep in the forest, something was wrong. Trees were broken, the ground was burned, and the air smelled like metal and ash. A hunting team of 5 local men had gone into the woods. Only one came back. He was shaking, his face pale. It wasn't a bear, he whispered. It wasn't human. It had claws and eyes like fire. Rayan arrives. Commander Rayan stood inside his ship, Vulcan 7, flying fast toward Alaska. The skies were cloudy. Rain hit the windshield. He was not alone. 4 elite soldiers were with him, trained in space combat and alien threats. Rayan looked at them. This is not a rescue mission, he said. This is a warning, one soldier asked. To who, sir? Rayan answered coldly. To them, crash site. The alien pod. The team reached the crash site just before dawn. In the middle of the forest was a deep crater. Trees around it were black and broken. At the center lay a large, dark object round, like a metallic egg. Alien symbols glowed on its surface. It hissed with heat. Rayon raised his hand. Weapons up. They're here. Suddenly, the ground shook. From the shadows, something moved. Something fast. The first Blood A soldier turned Dand, screamed. A huge alien leapt from the trees, landing on top of him. It was almost 9 feet tall, with long arms, razor claws, and armor skin. Its face had no mouth, only burning eyes. Another soldier fired, but the bullets bounced off. Rayan moved quickly. He grabbed a plasma blade and jumped toward the alien. In one clean strike, he cut off its arm. The alien roared, not in pain but in fear. Rayan looked straight into its eyes. "Remember me?" The alien tried to run, but Rayan threw his blade and it went straight through the creature's head. Silence. One alien, dead. The message: the team found a black box inside the pod. It was still working. Rayan played the message. It was from the Zalari warlord. To the human called Rayan, "You carry the old fire, but fire dies in the cold. We will crush it. And your world." Then the screen showed something terrifying. A full invasion map, Solari fleets, marked in red, moving toward Earth. Not in weeks, not in days. In 72 hours, it would begin the attack. Back at Bessarion returned to Earth Command. The leaders were in panic. "We're not ready," one said. "Our weapons are old. We'll lose everything." Rand slammed the alien map on the table. "We don't have time for fear," he said. "We strike first." Everyone looked at him. "You want to attack them?" someone asked. "Yes," Rayan said. "They sent monsters to scare us. I'll send fire to show them we're not afraid." The meaning of fear. Rayan stood alone later. Staring at the alien body, he noticed something strange. Carved into the alien's armor was a symbol, an ancient earth flame. He called Dr. Kadim. The old scientist confirmed it. "This proves it," he said. "They've fought us before, a long time ago. They didn't forget us, Commander. They remembered our fire. That's why they fear you." Rayan nodded. "Then let's remind them." Preparing for the first strike, a secret human fleet began to rise from under the oceans, the Flame Armada. Old, but powerful. Rayan would lead the first counterattack, not to defend Earth, but to send a message. Commander Rayan had returned from Alaska. One alien was dead, but it was just the beginning. Now, the countdown had started. Zalari fleets would arrive in 72 hours. There was no more time for debate. Earth had to act. A hidden meeting late at night. Rayan received a message. It was not from the government. It was a hidden code, only known to a few people. The message said, "Council of Fire calls you. Come alone." Rayan left his base quietly and traveled to an old military bunker deep in the mountains. There, behind a heavy metal door, sat 5 men and women. They were not generals. They were not presidents. They were older, silent, eyes full of secrets. They were the Council of Fire. Long before historians stood in front of them, one of the council members, an old woman, spoke first. "You want to fight the Zalari?" she said. "You're already fighting them?" Rayan replied. The woman nodded. She pressed a button on the wall. A hologram appeared. It showed a broken world. Not Earth, but something like it. And then it showed them. The Zalari, marching, burning, killing, and fighting them. "Humans, this is not the first war," the old man on the council said. "Long ago, before history began, humans fought the Zalari, and we won." Rayan was silent. The old woman continued, "We had something they didn't understand. Not just weapons, but fire. The fire of survival. Madness. Of refusing to kneel." Rayan understood now. "That's why they're afraid of me," he said. "They remember." The old man smiled. "Yes, you carry the same spark. The forbidden weapon." The council led Rayan into a deeper room, locked. Behind steel and energy shields was a dark vault. Inside it was something covered in cloth. The old man pulled it off. Underneath was a black box with red lights. It was marked. Project Firestorm, do not activate or in, step forward.
Oh, what is it?
The old woman whispered. A weapon born from the First War. Not just a machine. Not just a bomb. It was built using alien DNA. No IUI and human rage. Rayanne touched the box. It felt warm, alive. The Debate One council member warned.
Ow!
Using this weapon could destroy more than the enemy. It could burn our own world. Rayanne didn't blink. If we don't use it, there will be no world left to burn. The council looked at each other. Then the old man said, the weapon is not ready. It needs a key. A human. With the same fire inside, Rayanne stepped forward. Then let's wake it up. Back at Command Earth's, leaders were growing nervous. Some countries were already falling apart. Cities were being evacuated. Riots had started in many places. But then news spread across the world. Commander Rayanne has returned with Earth's forgotten weapon. Hope returned. Soldiers cheered, and deep in the secret lab, the box opened. The light within inside the box was not a gun, not a bomb, but a young girl, around 14 years old. She was floating in liquid, inside a glass pod. Her eyes were closed. Her body looked human, but her skin glowed softly with light. Suddenly, her eyes opened. They were burning gold. She looked at Rayanne and said only one word. Father, who is she? Dr. Kadim explained everything. She was made using Zelari DNA, mixed with human emotions, pain, rage, and memory. She can connect to their minds. She can see their plans. But she's also dangerous. She feels everything like a storm trapped inside a girl. Rayanne stood in front of her. The girl looked at him. They killed my people, she said. Now I'll burn theirs. Rayanne asked her name. She replied, I am Lyra, daughter of fire. Lyra stood in the center of the lab. She was calm. Too calm for someone who had just opened. Her eyes after 14 years. Soldiers watched her from behind glass. Some were afraid. Others were curious. Commander Rayanne stood closest to her. She looked at him again and said softly, I know you. Not your face. Your fire. What is she? Dr. Kadim explained. Lyra is not a normal child. She was created from Project Firestorm. Her DNA is part Zelari, part human. But her mind, it's pure fire. She feels what the enemy feels, sees what they hide. But she also carries human pain that makes her dangerous or powerful. One soldier asked, can we control her? Rayanne answered before Kadim could. We don't need to control her. We need to understand her. Training begins in a high-security base under the Atlantic Ocean. Rayanne began training Lyra. She was fast, strong, smarter than any computer, but she was also unstable. During one test, her eyes turned gold. Everything around her burst into flames without fire. She screamed, they're coming, I can feel them. Thousands. They want to burn Earth. Rayanne rushed to her. He held her hand. Breathe. Focus. Use your fire. Don't let it use you. Lyra calmed. Her voice was shaking. Why does it hurt so much? Rayanne looked at her quietly. Because you're not just a weapon. You're human. The bond. The bond days passed. Lyra and Rayanne grew closer. He taught her how to fight. She taught him how the Zelari think. He gave her a gift on old necklace made from Mars rock. From the first place they burned, he said. Let this remind you why we fight. Lyra nodded. They call you the fire, she said. Your fire is different. It doesn't just burn. It protects. Rayanne didn't answer. But inside, he felt something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. The vision one night. Lyra woke up screaming. Rayanne rushed into her room. She was shaking. I saw their worlds, she said. Black skies, red oceans, their ships, feeding on planets. She held her head. But I also saw something else. A child. Like me, but twisted. Made from pain. They're building weapons too. Living ones, like me. Rayanne stared at her. Then we have no choice, he said. We strike first. The plan. Fire into the stars, Rain called the Council of Fire and Earth's military leaders. He stood beside Lyra as he spoke. They are coming with darkness, but we will answer with light. Lyra will guide our fleet. She can feel the enemy. She knows where they're weakest. We launch in 24 hours, a general asked. And if we fail? Lyra stepped forward. Then we fall like stars bright, burning and never forgotten. Meanwhile, on the Zellery warship, the Zellery warlord, Threxus, felt something strange. He stood before a giant black mirror used to see through minds across space. There is a spark among them, he growled. Small, female, burning like a sun. They have created fire again, the priest of the Zelari race hissed. Shall we destroy her? No, Threxus said. Bring her to me, alive, her fire will become ours. They sent a hunter squad to Earth. The hunter arrives on Earth. Alarms screamed. A Zellery drop pod crashed outside the base. From inside stepped a tall figure, black armor, glowing red eyes. It had only one mission. Capture Lyra. Kill anyone in the way. Rayan ordered the base locked down. They're not waiting for the war to start. It has already begun. The skies above Earth were no longer peaceful. Zelari ships had entered the outer edge of the solar system in less than 24 hours. They would begin the invasion, but Earth was no longer afraid. Humanity was ready. The Flame Armada rises beneath the oceans hidden for decades. A massive door opened from the deep water. The Flame Armada began to rise. It was Earth's secret fleet, created after the First Zellery War and hidden from the public. Thousands of warships, drones and fighters floated upward, shining under the moonlight. Rayan stood at the front of the command ship, Firebringer. Beside him, Lyra watched in silence. They won't expect this, Rayan said. Lyra nodded. They think we are soft, broken, but they forgot. Humans are the ones who set fire to the dark. The plan. Rayan pointed to the large space map. Zelari main fleet is heading for Earth, but their energy supply line is weak here. He looked at Lyra. Can you guide us? She closed her eyes. Lights in the room flickered. Machines around her beeped. Her skin glowed faintly. I see them, she said. 5 carrier ships, protected but not alert. We strike there, break their chain. Rayan smiled. Then we light the match. Battle begins. The human fleet launched into space. As they moved past the moon, they saw them Slari carriers, floating like giant metal beasts. Rayan gave the command. All ships attack. Pattern Alpha. The battle began. Human fighters flew fast, dodging enemy blasts. Missiles exploded. Space shook with fire. For the first time in history, humans were fighting in deep space and, winning. Lyra sat in the control chamber. Guiding the fleet with her mind, she could feel the Zelari thoughts. They're confused, she said. Didn't expect us to fight back. They're afraid, Rayan responded. Good. Let them be afraid. The turning point, one Zelari ship tried to escape. Rayan personally followed in Vulcan-7, inside the enemy ship. He faced 2 alien warriors. They were huge, armored, and fast. But Rayan was faster. He fought with brutal focus, no fear, no doubt. Tell your leader, he said to the last dying alien, Earth is not the same as before. This time, we burned back. Explosives. And flew out behind him. The ship exploded in silence, the sun born from fire. The hunter strikes back on Earth. Lyra's body suddenly tensed. No. She saw something in her mind, a dark figure moving toward the Earth base. The Zelari hunter had entered the human base during the battle. Lyra opened her eyes. He's here. He came for me. Without waiting, she ran to the launch bay. Rayan heard the message through comms. Lyra, stay put. It's too dangerous. But she didn't listen. Lyra versus the hunter inside the base. Lights flickered. Alarms rang. The hunter walked through metal walls like paper. He found her in the center hall. She stood still, her hands glowing. You were made by us, the hunter growled. You belong to us. Lyra's eyes turned golden. I don't belong to anyone. The fight began. He was stronger. But Lyra was faster, and her mind was sharp. She reached into the hunter's brain, his hate, his past. She turned it back on him. "You remember the fire?" she whispered. It again, the hunter screamed. His body cracked with light. Then he fell dead. Lyra stood alone, shaking. But she was no longer afraid. The message sent train returned to Earth. He saw the destroyed base, the burnt walls, and Lyra, standing in the center. "You saved us," he said. Lyra looked at the stars. "Not yet, but soon." They sent a message into space, a short one. "To the Zelari, we are not your prey. We are the fire you feared, and we are coming." Earth was quiet, but it wasn't peace. It was the silence before the end. Above the solar system, something massive was moving. Not a ship, not a fleet. A weapon, the Zelari called it. The Star Reader. "What is the Star Reader?" Dr. Kadim stood in front. Of the Earth Council, he looked tired, terrified. "The starter is not made for war," he said. "It is made for erasing worlds." He showed a hologram. It displayed Earth's sun, slowly turning dark. "They plan to destroy our sun. Sun, no light, no life. Earth will freeze in days." The council fell silent. One leader whispered, "This is the end." But Rayan stood up. "No, not yet. If they want to kill our sun, we take the fire to them first." A mission of no return. The Star Reader was huge, bigger than Earth's moon. It moved slowly, feeding on solar energy. Rayan stood with Lyra on the command deck. "We'll never reach it in time with a fleet," a pilot said. Rayan looked at Lyra. "We don't need a fleet." They planned a suicide mission, one ship. One strike team, get inside the Starrider, destroy it from within. Goodbyes, as the ship prepared for launch. Lyra sat alone. She looked up at Earth's blue sky for the last time. Rayan joined her. "Are you scared?" he asked. She nodded, not of dying. "I'm scared I'll forget who I am." Rayan gave her the Mars rock necklace again. "Then wear this. And remember, fire never forgets." Inside, the Star Eater's mission began. Rayan and Lyra flew, Vulcan 7, toward the giant weapon. Enemy ships tried to stop them, but Lyra controlled the ship like it was part of her. They flew through fire, metal, and debris. Then they entered the Star Eater's core. Inside, it was alive, moving, breathing, glowing red with alien energy. "It's part machine, part creature," Lyra whispered. Rayan planted charges on the energy core. Suddenly, alarms rang. The Zelari had found them. Final feet, a squad of Zelari guards blocked their way out. Rayan fought with everything he had. His blade flashed like lightning. Lyra used her mind-turning machines against the aliens. But then, Rayan was hit hard. He fell to the ground, bleeding. "Lyra, go." She didn't want to. Tears burned in her golden eyes. "No, I won't leave." Rayan smiled. "You are the fire now. Go spread it." He pressed the final charge. "Tell them, the fire never dies." The escape Lyra ran. The ship shook behind her. She jumped into the escape pod. Outside, the Star Eater began to break apart. Then boom. A blinding light. The Star Eater exploded. From Earth, it looked like a new sun was born. The legend begins back. On Earth, people watched the explosion from every country, every city. A message came through. The Star Reader is gone. Commander Rayan is gone. There was silence, then dashed cheers, tears, and hope. 1 year later, Lyra stood before the United Human Alliance. She wore the Mars rock necklace. Her eyes still burned like stars. "I was created to be a weapon," she said, "but now I choose to be a flame, not of war, but of warning." Behind her stood Earth's new fleet, stronger than ever. The Zelari had vanished, and across the stars, new species now feared one word: human. The war was over. The Star Reader was destroyed. Commander Rayan was gone, but the fire he lit still burned. 1 year later, new Earth had changed. Skies were clear, but the people were stronger. All nations had united under one flag, the United Human Alliance. Lyra stood at the top of the Earth Alliance command tower. She was no longer the scared girl in a lab now. She was the voice of humanity, a symbol of fire, a symbol of victory. The message to the galaxy, the Alliance, sent out a signal, not just to the Zalari, but to all life in the galaxy. A short, powerful message. Earth is no longer alone. We are not afraid. We are the fire that survived your darkness. And then humanity moved outward, not to invade, but to watch, to protect, to remind the stars. Never forget the name of Rayon, Lyra's. Mission begins. Lyra now led a new fleet. The Flameborn, their goal was not revenge, but warning. When Lyra closed her eyes, she could still feel the minds of other species, some afraid, some angry, some curious. She sent them the same message Rayan once gave. You want war? We bring fire. The Zellery worlds burned. Some Zellery colonies tried to rebuild. They hid in distant systems, hoping to stay forgotten. But Lyra found them. She gave them a choice: surrender or burn. Some surrendered. Others attacked. They didn't last long. Her fleet struck fast, precise and silent. One by one, the old warlords were erased. Rayan's fire crossed the stars. New worlds. New fire, but not all aliens were enemies. On one distant moon, Lyra found a small planet of peaceful creatures. Once enslaved by the Zalari, she gave them food, medicine, freedom. One of the children touched her glowing hand. Are you a goddess? The child asked. Lyra smiled gently. No, just a girl who carries the fire. They returned to Mars. Lyra's ship landed on Mars, now a memorial. The ruins of the old base stood silent, cold. She placed a flame-shaped stone near the wreckage. For those who were the first to die, she whispered. Then she added another stone, a dark one, for Rayon, first to rise. The voice of the fire Lyra spoke to Earth one final time. Her voice was broadcast across space. We did not start this war, but we finished it. Because fire is not just destruction. It is light, it is life, it is choice. And from this day forward, no one will ever burn Earth again. A new legend begins in schools across Earth. Children read the story of Rayon and Lyra. They learned about the Fire War. Some wore necklaces made of fake Mars rock. They played games called Flame versus Darkness. But the fire was real in their hearts. In every human child born after the war. It was pride, not in hate, not in power, but in survival. Final scene, the edge of the galaxy. Lyra stood on the bridge of her ship. In the distance, a new threat was rising, something darker than the Zalari. A deep voice echoed across her mind. You have their fire. But can you stop us? Lyra did not flinch. She looked at the stars. Let them come, she whispered. We are human. And this time, the fire will reach all of your worlds. The end.